What's up, guys? It's me again. Here with another video, just kind of a discussion that I wanted to have, or maybe just me airing out some thoughts. So in my last video, I was talking about how I really wished it was something that I kind of just cut myself off from, but I really wish there were more ways to help people achieve success, especially in the music industry. This doesn't have to be for only the music industry; it can be for anything, but are your childhood dreams still relevant? That's something that I think about, especially now with everything that I've been through. Um, and the main reason is because a couple years ago, I was at this lovely place, Game Sound Con in Los Angeles, and I was being mentored by an amazing composer who I won't use her name because I don't know if I didn't ask her if it was okay if I could use her for this story, but um she was listening to my music, and we had time to talk and just see where I was. And man, she's worked on like amazing scores and soundtracks and stuff, and she was listening to my music and she was, man, this is really good. It's really good. Like, where do you want to work? And it reminded me of that childhood question. I don't know if you've been asked that in grade school, or maybe just by like your parents or your relatives or friends. They ask you, when you grow up, what do you want to be? Or what's your dream job? For me, it was Sega. Yeah. I was a Sega kid. So for me, um I wanted to work for Sega. I wanted to be a part of the great sound that is Sega Records. They've done a lot with Sonic and other games. They have a huge catalog. I already know, but a lot of people didn't know that they had a record label, Sega Music Group. They actually signed artists. So not too many people know that. But yeah, while I was at Game SoundCon, I was asked that question, and I told my mentor as a kid, and I had to take a deep breath like that because I was expecting a bad reaction. Took a deep breath, and I was just like, as a kid, I wanted to make music for Sega. And I was waiting for like the horrible response, but the look on her face was just, I don't know if it was sympathy. But she gave me this look like, ooh, I'm sorry, child, but that boat has sailed. And I think she said that out loud. I don't think she meant to say that last part. But she, yeah, she did. She said that boat sailed. Then she thought about it and she was like, oh, is there anywhere else? And that's kind of stuck with me for a long time, for a couple years now, because I've always wanted to have my music in video games, but there's no clear path on doing that. There's no clear path to even working in the video game industry unless you're a developer, or coding C plus or C sharp. I've tried them all. I think my first interaction with the gaming industry, with the video game industry, was being a game tester for Tony Hawk Pro Skater as a kid. Pulled in a bunch of kids and like, hey, we want to see how you kids think about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. And the very first one, that was my very first step into the video game industry, and I've been around for that long. I was a real little kid, but I loved it. The music really always pulled me into a lot of the games. And for Sega, that was the main thing. I wanted to be a Sega artist. I wanted to make music for games like Jet Set Radio, Sonic the Hedgehog, and well, like I said, they have a large catalog, but I wanted to make music for those games, and I never got that chance. I know there was a fan who did recently for Sonic Mania, and he did an amazing job, and he kind of sparked the fire where it was like, man, maybe this is still possible. Maybe I can still achieve this childhood dream. But when I looked around, you know, I don't think anyone else really has who had a similar, goal in mind. Um for me, that's still the dream. I still want to have my music in video games, movies, commercials. It was what I told my mom. Many days, I would spend time listening to soundtracks, just leaving the game on, whether it was my Nintendo or my Genesis, my Dreamcast, my PlayStation, whatever the system was. If I found a song that I really liked, I would just stop what I was doing, study it, and man, you know, like you really find some really good music. You find some good music. Sega's known for that, which is why it was heartbreaking when everything came crashing down. But um, they've worked with stuff. They've done third party stuff, and they've expanded. Uh, what other gaming studio has pulled in like Akon, work with Japanese artists that are unknown in the West? Like no one really does that. They've made games that have been iconic for a reason. I wanted to be a part of that really bad. So, looking back as a kid, it's like, how the heck do I even achieve that? It's still the goal, but how? I think that's the biggest problem is how. We don't really have a clear way like other industries, like other career paths, where it's like if you want to become a doctor, you just got to go to school. You got to go to school and eventually you get put into the field and you shadow people and stuff and as a mechanic, you go to school. For music, you go to school, but it's really not that important. I mean, of course you need to learn like music theory to a degree. Everybody does, circle of fourths, circle of fifths, chord progressions, and all that good stuff. But like, there's really no clear set way to achieve certain goals in the music industry overall. And maybe my neighbor's dogs are spazzy. They're always going off on somebody passing by. But anyway, like there's no clear path choice, so how do you really achieve that goal? How is it possible? Who do you talk to? Where do you go? Like if I wanted to make it to the NBA, there are plenty of ways to do it. There are camps, there's summer leagues, there are amateur leagues and park leagues and coaches and training and scholarships and all this stuff. Whether for any sport, not just basketball, but just any sport in general. For being an artist, you go to school, you go to trade schools, and you put up good art. Wait for something to happen, or you just keep creating, and eventually it happens, or you die and you become famous after you're dead, which is sad, but truth for most artists. I mean artists like painters, drawers, illustrators. Um, every career path has its own direction, kind of set in stone, like how to do it. Except for really weird, really weird to even say, because it's like the music industry is so big, it's worldwide, it's been around forever. Music has been around forever. Yet there's no way to have a clear direction. There's no way to approach your field the way that you really want to, other than just keep working on your craft and hopefully you get a break. Hopefully something happens. Hopefully you get discovered. And that's kind of my problem that I had with the last video I was making, where I cut myself off from talking about this because it was just, I felt like it was going to be a long rant. Like, how do you help someone grow to where they want to be in the music industry? The music industry is so vast, from artists to composers to songwriters to producers to you know, mixing and mastering specialist and sound design, and like there are so many different fields, and some of them are easier to get through than others. Like being a technician or being in sound design, there's a lot of work there. Being an engineer, of course, there's that's probably the easiest to go, but or just having a voice or having lyrics or being a cute face or being attractive. Like there are plenty of different ways to reach your goals, except if you're the person in the background. And that's kind of where music has changed. And they say music is constantly changing, but it's already changed. It's not the same way as it used to be. It's not, like, hey, I'm a drummer, let me go find a band to be a part of, and let's hope we make it big. It's like you gotta approach it differently. You can't just go record, drop your demo off at a label and hope they pick you up and just keep bugging them until they do. It's not even like that anymore. There are some people who talk about their stories getting into the music industry where they would just bug the local labels over and over and over every day until people saw them on a regular, and that's how they got in. Or other ways of getting in, or maybe just showing up at certain places, or maybe just meeting certain people, and always being ready for that opportunity. And it's like, okay, well, how do we do that nowadays? Yeah. uh how do you tell some new composer or songwriter that, hey, in order for you to turn this hobby into or your dream into a reality, you got to go through this and this and this and this in order to achieve this. If I was to see a kid like me nowadays, this kid was like, oh my god, I want to make music for video games, I love playing Fortnite, blah blah blah. And it's like, oh, you want to make music for video games? Hmm. It's like you kind of can't give him a clear direction because there really isn't that kind of information out there. Like I would tell him to go to Game SoundCon. That's kind of like the only thing I would know. But even I didn't find out about Game SoundCon until like recently, like a couple years ago, and I was very grateful to go. It was one of the lowest points in my life, where my friends just kind of were like, "Hey, man, like we found this. This is your dream, right? Like this is what you want to know. This is what you want to be involved in. Go make it happen." I got to meet so many amazing people, like Marty O'Donnell, Paul Lipson, like, man, so many composers, so many, man, I can't even tell you, like people that I looked up to, that I met and were able to talk to and have a conversation with, and to me it didn't feel like a convention. It felt like I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to put it. 'Cause like most conventions, they're like, go there and like you're interested in stuff that's there. But when you go to, I guess because this is my passion, for me Game SoundCon was like a dream come true. It was like I never expected to meet any of these people like Tom Salta, or like I said, like Marty O'Donnell, so many people like there I never expected to ever meet, or even just to have a conversation with them because I put them on a pedestal, but to get into doing stuff like them, like with Martin O'Donnell and Tom Salta, they kind of made, I can't say kind of, but they're the sound behind Halo. Like Halo 1 and 2, like they're amazing soundtracks because of them. So like, how do you get that chance? How do you get that opportunity? There's really no clear direction. Like I said with sports, you go to camps, you go to work, you go to workouts, you go to training, you talk to coaches. There are ways set in motion already to help kids get to you know their desired sport as a profession. There's all that support that's out there internationally, globally. There are ways to do it, but when it comes to music, that's tough, especially if you're releasing music for the first time. As a person who's been working on music your whole life, and you take that step to release an album or release a project or a collection of music, and how do you reach your fans? How do you reach the people who are interested in your music? How do you help them find you, if that makes sense? Really no way to do it. You just put yourself out there and hope someone finds it, hope someone likes it, hope someone finds value in your work. But that's it. you know so man, like that's something that's been bugging me for a long time, thinking about like my childhood dream, um making music for video games, being known for that, like that being my thing, like making music where when people play a game and like they hear this, this cutscene comes on and this music plays in the background, or they get inspired by this menu theme that they heard, or maybe it's a level based game and they're like, oh my god, my favorite level is this one because of this song that you made. Like that's my dream, but how do you get there? Like how do you get there? How do you set yourself up to get to that point? There's no answer. There's no information. If I was a singer, there are ways, there are things laid out for singers and performers. But even for like the musician, it's getting difficult to like just make it, you know. So that's kind of my thoughts, just like, and it's for anybody. Like, are your childhood dreams still achievable? Are they still relevant? Are they still possible? You know, what inspired you to do what you wanted to do? If you wanted to become a doctor as a kid, are you a doctor now? If you wanted to work on sports cars, or racing cars, are you doing that now? If you wanted to make custom designs for something, are you doing that now? And did you waver? Did you get distracted? Did you fall off? Did you find out that it wasn't worth it, or did you realize that what your dream was is no longer relevant, and you had to change your path? I met a lot of people who went to school for very specific topics or very specific careers, and then they got to it and they were like, this is crap. I'm going in the other direction. So, they got their degree and they were just like, yeah, I wanted to as a kid. I got my degree and wanted to work into that field. I wanted to help people, or I wanted to do this, or I wanted to do that. And then I found out how that industry is or how that career works, and it was no longer my dream. And to just see the defeat, that they put all that time and effort into, it's soul crushing. And that's what I want to try to prevent. If I could do it, if I could figure out a way to do it, I would. But like, there needs to be more support for people in music, like just overall, not just musicians, not just, classical piano and classical guitar and acoustic guitar and, like, the basic stuff, like there needs to be more support, There's a lot of focus around hip hop, and that's mostly where all the information comes from. It's like, are you a bedroom producer? Are you a beat maker? Are you a rapper? Are you a singer? Do you have a cute face? throw a beat on it. There's a lot of information for that. There's a lot of support for that. And that's where it starts. They try to branch out. I can name a couple places where like they try to branch out and it's like, but is it really is it really reaching the right people? That's my question. You know, if you have this kid who wants to make progressive techno, you know, where do they go? Where do they put their stuff out? You know, they're like, as an example, there are like XM stations that are dedicated to discovering new music, like Octane. Octane is awesome. I listen to them all the time. Uh, Octane tries to find new rock bands, you know, that are emerging or that are coming up. You know, maybe that released an album and they're on their second album and they've got, you know, a couple good singles. They try to put them out there. They try to find them and get that music out there so that that band can be heard. And that's amazing. But you don't really have that in other genres, you know? Like, there are a couple stations for other genres, but it's not really about discovering what's new. It's about having your own specific type, like your favorites, like playing your favorites, um or playing what was good in the past. You know, a lot of hip hop stuff is like that. A lot of hip hop stations are like that, like playing what was good in the past or what was good long ago. You know, or someone's favorite list of artists and their favorite singles and stuff like that. There's really nothing for like all genres. Maybe there's just no one who has stepped up and done it, but there should be. You know, like there should be a way to help all these. And there's like, I know there's like, when I say all, because there's like so many producers, there's so many people like making, you know, lo-fi hip hop and instrumentals and trap, and there's so many people. That music is evolving so fast, you can't even like hear all the different types of evolutions of genres, of sounds, of arrangements that are out there, because it's evolving so fast. Like every week there's a new sound, you know. And there are people who are producing music that they're releasing stuff day after day, you know, like amazing stuff. But that's hip hop. You know, like I said, that's easy to find. I can find that all over YouTube. You know, there are websites dedicated to hip hop producers and you know, helping them put their sound out there and trying to find a home for it, or trying to find an artist who will sing on that track or who will rap on that track. There are so many different ways to find someone or something for hip hop, but there's really little for anything else. Like, I'm a big fan of jazz, and I have the hardest time finding jazz that doesn't have a hip hop beat connected to it. Or, you know, maybe like coffee house jazz, you know, where it's just like a singer and pianist and a bass player, you know. Can't even find that nowadays. Like, or if you can, it's like it's so buried amongst other stuff. It's like, again, how do you find it? How do they get found? Mostly they're very specific genres nowadays, but that's a whole topic for another. I'm sorry for rambling on about that one a little bit too long, but I mean, it's like it's something to think about, you know? It's really something to think about. And even for someone who is a new artist, or who, you know, a new group, a new band, a new house DJ, you know, like a new stadium DJ, you know, like there's so many avenues in music where it's like, where can these people go? You know, everybody has their own dreams, but where do these people go? I met a DJ at Game SoundCon. Um Amazing DJ and composer who started to get his stuff into commercials. And started to put out his own singles, his own albums, his own releases, and he's found success. And he's a great guy. Like, love him to death. Uh, I really need to contact him too. but but yeah, like he's found success, But like, I remember we were talking, and I was like, like how much music do you have in video games? He's like, well, I've gotten about one or two songs in, but I have success in many other things. I've commercials, and I'm a big DJ in my area, and I've done shows and stuff. And I'm like, that's great, but like, how, like, your dream, you know? Like, how did you have you, do you feel successful? And I ask people a lot of questions, not to make them feel bad, but like I'm just curious, like just generally curious. Like do you feel like you've accomplished your goal? When I've asked a lot of people that I've met who are video game composers, some of them kind of have to think about it. They're like, man, no, I haven't achieved it, or I haven't felt successful because I've been trying and I don't know how to get it there. I haven't, not like they're looking for the big break, they're not looking for awards or anything, but just to have their music heard, recognized, and someone find value in it. Like that's the main thing. And for me, that's about the same thing too. Yeah. Like I was saying earlier, but also it's like, how do you get it there? And that's the main thing, is the how. There should be more places to help you with the how. When I was talking about distribution in my last video, I was talking about how there's no way not no way, but there is no distribution partner that helps you find your audience. There's no distribution partner that helps you grow your audience. Like, we just put your music out there. Whatever you do after that, it's up to you. But then they offer services for doing just that, like helping you build your audience, helping you be discovered. And like, where is the support? Where's the love? And that worries me. That worries me a lot, because there's so many producers, there's so many musicians, there's so many people that are making amazing sounds, or amazing arrangements. And like, how do I even discover most of these people? I don't even know where to go. So if I don't know how to discover them, how are they being discovered? Who's discovering them? Who's helping them? Or are they just putting their stuff out there and wishing for the best? We should have more support for not just the people who are already doing it, but for the next generation. The next kid that wants to be a hit, who wants to make classical music, and have it performed at like the Hollywood Bowl or something. Like, we should have support for that. We should have support for a kid who's inspired by a video game and wants to make music for more video games. We should have support for kids who maybe saw like latest Spider-Man movie and they were like, oh my god, like Spider-Man's theme is awesome, I want a theme song like that. How do I make theme songs like that? Like, we should be able to help these kids out for the next generation. And music seems to always be put on the back burner when it comes to education and information expansion. It's always kind of like not important. Even though with a lot of media and a lot of production, music is very important. Music tells you how to feel. Music tells you what's going on in the scene. If we're talking about movies for a second, then music is very important for cues, sounds, and emotional levels. Like, I remember I know I just said movies and I'm going to go into an anime, but I remember there was this one fight scene. I think it was the finale of Naruto. I think I'm not, and they decided to go with no music for the fight, just the sound effects of the fight itself, and it was so impactful because you followed these characters. Actually, yeah, I think it was. You followed these characters from when they were kids. You know, Naruto and Sasuke. Followed them from when they were kids to now they're adults, and now they're fighting it out. And this is like the big fight. This is the fight we've all been waiting for. And you could feel the drama. You know, you could feel the emotions build like through them talking to each other, their grunts, the impact of their hits, and it was like, wow, that's serious. Not so many people would try that. But then when you think about like feature length superhero movies, stuff like that, you know, you can imagine it. I mean, you're the superhero that's the focus of the movie. You know, they're in a big fight, and maybe there's ambience. You know, maybe there's birds chirping or explosions in the background. There's really no music, right? And then when the tides turn, you know, that superhero gets the advantage in that scene, and all the focus shifts to them having the advantage. Their theme song starts playing. You know, you feel the emotion, you feel the rush. It's like, man, okay, now they're about to do something. Oh, this is about to change, like about to happen. Uh, and that's just, it's so impactful, it's so powerful, but people put music on the back burner. It's amazing. You know, they give the lowest budget music. Not all the time, but just sometimes. Even in video game production, like they'll give music like budget. And it's like, man, you know, musicians cost. Just because we're in a digital age doesn't mean it doesn't mean this 36-piece symphony is cheap. But you know, there's got to be a way to connect everything. So that way not only just us, people who are inspired, who are motivated to the people who are motivated to have their dreams a reality or their hobby into their focus. There's got to be a way for those people to, in the music industry at least, songwriter, as a composer, whatever you are, to get to that point, you know, to get to where you need to be, or at least a path to follow to where you can be recognized, where you can, you know, be approached. Like getting back to the main topic at hand, like as a kid, I wanted to be a composer for Sega. You know, that's what I was talking about earlier. Which is why I'm bringing this up, because it's just like, how would I get to how would I get to be signed by the Sega Music Group? Yeah, like how would I get to that point where I could be signed by them? I could be, you know, like Toronto. You may not know Toronto if you don't know Sega Music, but Toronto was like a house techno DJ composer who was signed by Sega Music. That's not his real name. That's his artist name. He doesn't even go by that artist name anymore. But Toronto, like he made some amazing music for Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future, and did some remixes. Um, and like some of his music for Jet Set Radio is my favorite music. It's like it's amazing house music. And it's like I've always wanted to try to make something on his level, you know, like make something that cool, that impactful, that, you know, that touching, you know, that just that inspiring. And like how do I get to that level? How does anyone get to that level? How do you get to be signed, you know, by Sega Music Group? How do you get to work on those projects? Is it possible? Um, and that's something I always think about. How to how do you do that? You know, if I want to make music for Square Enix, how do I do it? You know, Sega was the only gaming studio I know of personally that had their own record label. So, that was my dream, to be signed by them, music for them, having game soundtracks released, with my name on it or my artist name, and being like, yeah, that was my track. I did the music for that cutscene, music for that level. I did that, and how do you get something to think about? Mostly just something to think about. But I'm done rambling. Um, like I said, there are many different avenues in music, but music industry has the least amount of information, least amount of direction for certain avenues in music. And I wish there was more support from, the distribution partners, and the services they provide to the music industry as a whole. Maybe there needs to be a union, multiple unions, or a really big union that handles all the different avenues. Maybe there needs to be more education. There needs to be more support. Who knows? Who knows? Um, but yeah, that's it for me. I just wanted to talk about this more and elaborate into it because, man, when I was doing that video, that last video, when I started to get into it, I was like, nope, 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 nope. It needs to be its own video. It needs to be its own discussion. Um, are your childhood dreams still relevant? Good thing to think about. Maybe they are. Maybe they're not worth it. Maybe they are worth it. Maybe you shouldn't have given up on them. Maybe you should have kept trying. Maybe you should have tried harder. Maybe you should have did more research. There's so many different answers, but are they still relevant today? Are they still possible? Food for thought. I'll see you guys later. Peace.